Going good. Very good. So today we are going to start a new topic, CNN. Okay, convolution neural network. So how many of you have heard about computer vision, then Tesla car? Anyone have heard about computer vision? No. So no one has heard about this, correct? Hello. Hello. So no one has heard about this.
No, sir.
Very good. That's also good. So can anyone summarize what we have studied it in last class? Then we will start convolution neural network.
In the last class, we did the case study of ANA in that churn modeling.
Okay. So how we have done this? Can you explain?
We did in the Google Colab. First, we
So which approach we have used there to build a neural network? So are you people confident to develop such type of network when you have large data set?
after practice, I think we can.
Okay. So actually we have studied the sequential approach of developing a neural network. So we have added, I think, 3 hidden layer. We had 3 hidden layer and 1 output layer. 1 hidden layer added with 1 hidden layer connected with input layer. That was the first layer, and then we have added 2 more hidden layer, and then last one was output layer. Hidden layer we had ReLU function, and the output we had which function we had, which activation function we have used in output layer. Do you remember? And why did we do?
Sigmoid.
So we had sigmoid because sigmoid is a bounded function which produce output in between 0 to 1. And why we need 0 to 1? We thought output, if it is 0 to 1, we can interpret as a probability, and then whichever, if probability is more than 0.5, it's considered it at group 1, and if it is less than 0.5, consider it as another group. Correct? And this is the way we have developed it. And then we have also check what is the accuracy of our model, and we also have discussed actually when we have overfitting, then what else we have to do actually. This we have not demonstrated through case study, but we have discussed actually. And if anyone remember this, can they share us what we have discussed when you have overfitting in case of neural network? How do we take?
Dropouts.
So we have
We
discussed
should
dropout actually. Correct. We have discussed the concept of dropout. So exactly what you have to do, you have to use this dropout basically what it does is it removes some of the connections from neurons. So let's say 20% connection if you want to drop to any layer, you just use dropout function. It will remove randomly 20% of connection, and hope so we'll have a good model. So that is the idea. So good model means generalization is good. You will not have overfitted model and you will have a generalized model. Okay, and how we are checking this overfitting is happening? We have checked that accuracy in training and accuracy in test actually, and both are matching actually. So in our case, both were matching closely. So we thought our model is not overfitted. But in some case, it happened that your model is doing very good in training data set, but not doing good it in with test data set. So that is the case of overfitting. Okay, and in that case, you have to do dropout. In other methodology, you are using regularization actually. In other machine learning like regression problem, you had to use regularization. Same thing you are doing here with dropout. Okay. So today we are going to start a convolution neural network. So convolution neural network, it says that CNN. So basically, whatever neural network, if we are developing neural network with image actually, so that things come under convolution neural network. So instead of dealing with numeric data, here also we convert an image into numeric only, but input it somehow input it image for us in the convolution neural network. So today we are going to have theory class. It may be one or two more theory class, and then we will have one case study on convolution neural network. So now these days computer visions are booming actually, and now you can see there are a lot more of applications coming out from the computer visions. So lots of research are going on convolution neural network and computer vision. So computer vision is part of convolution neural network only. So there they use images. Okay. So Tesla car and self-driving car, these are all application of convolution neural networks. So I think you have heard about at least self-driving car. So you don't have to use driver. You just select your destination on map. It will take you to destination. So that is self-driving car. So on self-driving car, you just see that there are few cameras mounted on top of that car, and that keep taking images, and based on that image and then pre-trained model, they take decision actually. They have to put brake, they have to speed brake, or based on this they take decision actually. Okay, and there are a lot more applications. Nowadays, actually, if you see neural network or deep learning, most of that now research is going on computer vision, because now it's very cheap to take images. In earlier days were not too cheap. There are camera was not good, and then computer processing was not so fast. Storage had problem. So we don't have that much of interest in deep learning as well as in CNN and convolutional neural network or computer vision. But nowadays, after 2012, I think it is started and booming it out. Nowadays, there are lots of research that's happening. So in deep learning also convolution. So deep learning, you understood now what is deep learning.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Yes, sir.
so in 2009 they have defined that layer, if a layer goes beyond 6, they call that network as a deep learning network. Correct. So concept is not new actually. Concepts are coming for long days, but since we have developed new algorithm, we have developed computational powers. So nothing, and then also we have shown that there are application existing for all these theories. It is not only theories, there are certain applications. So things are moving fast actually. People are taking interest to develop new algorithm, to develop computation power, and also things are moving it. So convolution neural network is also class of deep neural networks, and it is very similar what we have learned it in past few classes. So here also you have a hidden layer, and then a layer contains neurons, and neurons have activation function, and all this neurons has a weight and bias. But what is different between these two? It is used for analyzing images. Okay. So it was first introduced in 1980s by Yan Li-Chun. So first in 1980s actually, and this guy is now with Facebook. If I'm not wrong, he's director of Facebook now. I think he lead this computer vision and stuff with the analytic director. I think he's with Facebook. So he had developed first convolution neural network in 1980s, and then that network he called as LeNet. And he also has shown that application of that is recognize handwritten digits, and they have used this to read the postal zip code, and also find application in banking. Okay, to read the numbers written on check. But after that, again, it is stopped actually. People were not taking much interest because we don't have the proper camera to capture images, and then the storage had problem, computation power had problem. So people were not taking interest actually. And then in 2012, again it started booming because some other researcher group had developed AI model that win some competition actually. So it says that they have developed an algorithm called AlexNet, and that has the 85% accuracy. And that time this accuracy was like what you call this accuracy was unbelievable for peoples. So you can see that runner-up has scored only 74%. So there is 11% gap. So AlexNet, won this competition by large margin. So at the heart of AlexNet was the same convolution neural network, and what this guys had developed, LeNet or Li-Chun. Okay, so again this because they have won this up, they have able to show CNN or this convolutional neural network have application, and so people again started working on it. And now they taking images is not a big deal. So all of have a smartphone, and they can put easily camera, capture images, and they also find lots of applications of CNN. So lots of research are going on it. So code of CNN is a digital image. So before going into CNN, what I thought it will have some sorts of understanding actually what is the digital image. So what do you think about digital image? Any idea? You see images. So do you have any idea exactly how this computer read these images? And how these images are made of? Do anyone have any idea? Every time
So
take
we will
it-
take the pixel values. Pixel values 0 to 255. These images are divided into the pixels. So we can take the pixel value.
Okay. Yes. Images are made up of pixel. That is correct actually. Yes. So every digital image consists of a pixel that are little square filled with one color. So you can see actually you take a picture, you just zoom in actually, and try to zoom in. You will see small square. I will just show you. Just see this image. Can you see square in these images? Or you can just take the image and just try to zoom in. Try to enlarge as much as possible. You will find a square. Okay, and that square we call it the pixels. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Any doubt? So digital images are made up of with pixel, and pixel are nothing but a little square filled with a color. So pixel, you can represent pixel as f of x comma y, and then all pixel you can organize it like in a matrix form. So you can see this is a functional form, but basically this is a matrix actually. So f of 0 to f of 0 n minus 1 to f of m minus 1 to 0. Okay, so all pixels are organized in a matrix form. So the size of image is determined by dimension of this pixel array. Okay. The image width is the number of column and the image height is the number of row in the array. The pixel array is a matrix of m cross n. So in Python actually it starts with 0 0, but if you see it in MATLAB representation of digital images, it starts with 1, because they have so it start with 1 because in MATLAB index start with 1, Python index start with 0. So what is this f of 0, 0? So to refer a specific pixel within the image matrix, we define a coordinate, a spatial coordinate, x and y, and the amplitude of f's at any pair of coordinate x, y is called intensity of the image, and that we call as a pixel. So basically we have told now you just zoom in, you will get a square, okay, and then we'll get the position. So it's square, you in 2 dimension, you can say that what is the position of your color f of 0 at any point actually in that square, and what is the intensity of that, and that we call as a pixel. Okay, understood? So pixel are made of so in typically digital images, every pixel consists of 8-bit integer leading to 256 possible states. So what does it mean? It means that this number f of 0 to f of 0 n minus 1, it can be anywhere in between 0 to 256 for 8-bit images. For 1 bit, we have only 2 color. Color we call here as a shade. And 4 bit we have 4 shade. 6 and 4 bit we have 16 shade. Sorry, 2 bit we have 4 shade. So basically, 1 bit means 2 to the power 1. 2 bit means 2 to the power 2. 4 bit 2 to the power 8, and 8 bit 2 to the power 16. So anyway, we have 256 shade actually, and anywhere. So 256 shade means that pixel values can go anywhere in between 0 to 256. And what is colored images? So colored images have 3 frames actually, and each frame has same representation. What we have it here, f of xy. So color images made with 3 color actually. RGB means red, green, and blue. And every f of r again represented as like this pixel array or pixel matrix actually. So every RGB consists of every RGB, like R will have this form, G also have this form, and B also have this form. So how many different types of images? So the binary image, so it have only 2 pixel element, either 0 and 1. So 0 refer to black and 1 refer to white. So this image representation, we call it monochrome. And black and white images, the black and white image, either black or white. And again 8-bit format and 16-bit format. Again it is either, so in 8-bit format we'll have again 256 different shades of color and known as grayscale images. So in this format, 0 stands for black and 255 stands for white and 127 stands for gray. And again in 16-bit color format, how many different shaded we will have? Can anyone tell? How many different color format or how many different shade it will have?
256 into 256 into 256.
No, na. It is 200, 2 to the power 16. 8, see, we had formula, na. So 8 bit have 2 to the power 8 said. So 16 bit will have 2 to the power 16, correct? And if you do that calculation, it will come at 65,536 different set. But mostly we use 8-bit color format actually. So this is the presentation actually. So black and white is a 2D array, and color images will have 3D array. Why 3D array? Because of other dimension will be for color. So black, white, RBF na. So red, blue, and green actually. Sorry, it is RBG. So red, green, and blue. So color pixel will have a 3D array. Digital image will black and white image will have 2D array. And you can see that pixel values are in between 0 to, for every pixel, it can take any values from 0 to 255. And it has to be 256 if I am not wrong. It has to be 256. No? Yeah, it has to be it has to take any values from 0 to 256. See this, how we are converting these images into pixel form. So this is the color image which had 8. We have just removed the green shade, and now you can see there is a white background, and white background we have just converted into the pixel values. So basically wherever there is a color, wherever there is a black spot, we encoded it as a 1, and wherever there is a white shade, we call it as a 0. But and this so this digital form of image will be the input for your neural network. Okay, so you had an image, you just converted image into pixel. So what do you think that how do we give this matrix as an input to our neural network? What do you think? Can you think about it? What are the different way of doing it? How do we give?
We can convert this into NumPy arrays.
Okay.
And then we'll put as an input.
Yeah, good actually. You can convert this into a NumPy array and then connect with hidden layer and do it. Correct. But what happen actually when you have large number of image or your pixel size is now you can see that only what is dimension of this 3, 6, 5 cross 6, correct? But what happen when you have the large pixel actually? When you have let's say 256 cross 256 256 cross 256 array, what you will do in that case? When you have a small image you can do it, but what happens when you have a large image? You cannot do same way, na? Otherwise what will have, you have to at least 255, let's say 256 into 256 plus some bias which come So one node will have this much of input. Let's say you are dealing with 10 hidden layers. So that will come 10, multiply that number with 10 also, and some bias will come. So that will be huge number. So that is computationally inefficient to solve that large number of parameters. Okay, but there are way to do it actually. So you have done very good try actually. So you just told that you just flatten all this. So basically you stack all column, create a column array, and connect with the network. That you can do with the small images. Size is small, but when you have large number of images and size of image is also big, you cannot do it actually. So there are methodology. So there are methodology to deal with. So first of all, what you have to do is first you pass your image, you have pixel, and then you have to process your pixel through different layer of CNN, convolution neural network. Okay. So in CNN, this processing happen in 4 stages. One is called a convolution layer, where convolution operation happen, and what is convolution means we are going to see next slide. Another is called ReLU layer. Actually all negative part they just convert into whatever negative part that convolution layer have, that they just convert into zero actually. Just basically it is thresholding, and then pooling layer, flattening layer, all this will come. So today we are going to see only convolution layer. What does mean actually? What is this convolution actually? And so in convolution layer, convolution happen. So what is this convolution? It is the combined integration of two functions that show how one function modifies the other. So this is not new concept actually, and then people who have learned signal processing, they know that this is the technique we use to do it in impulse response estimation. So you have a function f which is convoluting with g, and it is defining as minus infinity to infinity function of f of tau. Tau is nothing but a running variable actually here, and g of t minus tau d tau, and then that mirror image of above function actually. So this is integration actually. Integration you can think the sum. So if you can write this in term of summation, you can write it like summation of minus infinity tau run from minus infinity to infinity. Same thing, f of tau, g of t minus tau. Okay. Summation form I have not written it here, but this is the thing. If you have not understood this function, no worry. We'll take example and try to understand. So basically, it is a element matrix operation, element-wise matrix operation. So F and G is two matrix, and we have to do some element-wise operation. So let's say you have a one-dimensional array A called A, which has 532 597 as an element, and B has 1 2 3. Okay, so you don't have to worry about this complicated function. Just see exactly how this convolution happen with this small example, toy example. So convolution operation, the array has multiply element wise and the product is summed to create a new array which is represented as A into B. So I told now this is nothing but a sum operation running from minus infinity to infinity. So how we are going to do? So first A has 6 elements. So first you have to convolve A into B. So A is going to multiply with B element wise with B. So A had how many elements? 6 elements, but B had 3. So what is happen with first? It will go multiply with first 3 element. Okay. So and this is not a matrix multiplication. This is a element wise. It will go and element to element multiplication will happen. So 5 will go and multiply with 1. 3 will go and multiply with 2. 2 will go and multiply with 3. So resulting you can see there is a matrix 5 into 1 5. So resulting matrix will be 5 into 1 5, 3 into 2 6 and 2 into 3 6 again. And sum of all this number will be 17. Have you understood this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Another next time. So we have to do with all this element because there are 6 element now. So every time we have to do same operation with. Now we have to leave 5 and take next 3 element and do with 1 2 and 3. Multiply with 1 2 and 3. Understood? Next time we have to take next 3 element. We have to leave first one, take next 3 and multiply with P. So 3 into 1, that is 3. 2 into 2, that is 4. 5 into 3, 15. That sum is 22. So other, can you people go and calculate other product? We have to do another, how many? We have already did 2. Then another 3 we have to
4.
do.
Another
3
4,
or
no?
4? 3 or 4. So next time we
4
will
we have
take,
to.
okay, 5, okay, yeah, 4. So you do calculate it and let me know. So next what will be happen actually? Which are the element we are going to take? 259. 259 is going to multiply with 1, 2 and 3. So how much it will come?
39.
Okay. So you just complete this task.
Next is 44.
Okay.
39 and after that 44.
Okay. So we took it as a one-dimensional array for understanding, but exactly it is not going to be one-dimensional because we know that the pixel is represented in form of matrix, and we are going to have a matrix multiplication, but concept is same actually. We took a one-dimensional thing, did it, but in real case it is going to be a matrix. So A is going to be a matrix. B is also going to be a matrix. Okay. So basically convolution, why we are doing convolution, because we want to reduce the dimension of the matrix. So we have, let's say, larger images. Let's say you have 256 into 256 a matrix of a pixel matrix have 256 into 256. We want to reduce the dimension of 256. So basically some of the unnecessary feature we wanted to remove it. That's why we are using this convolution operation. So in image also, all points are not important. So we want to just remove some of the points, want to reduce the size of the matrix. That's why we are doing this convolution. And that is the beauty of this CNM, convolution operation. Okay, so we have not still done with convolution. I will have another 1-2 more slide, and then we'll have other operation. So another 1 or 2 class is going to be theoretical only, and then we will see some case study. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So Satyendra is present in class today.
Yes, sir.
So how things are going, Satyendra ji?
Sir, things are good.
So Satyendra, you can stay, and other can leave now. If you people don't have to discuss anything, we will close now. Just want to discuss with Satyendra, and Satyendra will stay with me. Okay.
Okay.
Just a minute, Satyendra. I will back in 2 minutes.
Okay, sir.
Yes, Satyendra.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, tell me. Have you completed the task?
Sir, I tried to understand that support vector mechanism, what you suggested to me, no?
Yeah, but before that, before jumping to any machine learning algorithm, you have to understand the data first. So you have output data, you have input data, get the correlation matrix first. See exactly correlation is there. Drop redundant variables. If you find that two variables are correlated, just drop one variable. Okay.
Okay.
And another thing is you create some sorts of what you call you do some bivariate analysis, plot exactly how this response behave with your all input data. Okay. So idea is we have to understand exactly how features are related with the output. Then we will come for modeling. And if you remove some of the redundant variables, I think that also sometimes helps to improve accuracy.
Okay.
Okay. So do some sorts of basic analysis first before jumping into any sorts of algorithm. And why I suggested that algorithm, because that is works very well on a small data set.
Okay.
And since you told you have 60 or 70 data point, I also worked random forest didn't work well on the data actually, because 70 data is not good enough for random forest, what I believe. But for this sorts of modeling, yes, you can do actually.
Sure, sir. Then I will do that bivariate analysis, and also I will try to find means without this algorithm of how the output is connected with different features.
Yeah, so do this, and then you also do correlation analysis.
Okay, sir.
Okay, it will give you exactly how well it is correlated with output, and it will also help you to find the redundant variables. So basically, some of the variables may not be useful because it contains same information what other variables have. So that way also, if you drop some of this, so it will help you to improve it.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay, Satyendra. You do this and let me know. And what I told this SPR model, that worked very good actually. For at least I have implemented 4-5 places. It worked very well. And particularly that RBF kernel. Okay. And it's not so difficult to implement it.
Okay.
You do it. If you find difficulty, let me know. Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay. Sure.
Okay, Ji. Bye then. We'll meet again on Thursday. Okay. Bye. Good night, guys. Bye.